Welcome to the CascadiaSports.net Seahawks post-game report. I'm Oz Vita Maraire, and the Seattle Seahawks suffer a disappointing 33-30 loss to the Tennessee Titans. The loss was disappointing in so many ways. This was the first time that the Seahawks were back here in Lumen Field in over 360 days. I think 365 days to be specific. So the players wanted to show up and show out for the 12s who they hadn't, so the meet and greet party they hadn't seen in those X amount of days. So the meet and greet party didn't turn out so well. And the other thing is the Seahawks actually jumped out to a 24-6 halftime lead here. And normally when the Seahawks are up by more than 15 points at halftime, they were 52-0. But that was not to be the case today because they scored just 6 points in the second half, and the Titans actually scored 24 points, counting the 3 points in the overtime loss. So Seahawks offense was stymied after a very impressive showing in the first half, and it's really questions are being asked of themselves. The Seahawks will look at the film, as Pete Carroll told us in the post-game conference. Well, they all did. Same thing with Bobby Wagner and also Russell Wilson. And in terms of just really what happened on offense and defense. But really what was disappointing, the other part of the disappointing loss here was just the 10 penalties for 100 yards. And so while few really led to the scoring in terms of direct penalty that they score, what it led to was the continuation of the drives for the Titans, and they would eventually score. So here is what Bobby Wagner and also Pete Carroll and some of the players had to say about just their lack of execution and bad decisions.
Many good things have happened, and it was such a great day at the stadium. Fans were ready and rocking, and we wanted to reward them with a big win as well. And we did so many good things, and then we really hurt ourselves just too many times when you're playing a good team. And the penalties were just so costly. So many first downs off penalties when we had them and really had control of the situation. And it was really unfortunate that we weren't poised enough, and I totally take that myself. There was just opportunities for us to make better decisions that we didn't make. And I know sometimes I get these guys so freaking crazy that they're just going after it, and these errors. It was. I don't have any question about the calls or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about refereeing or anything. It's just we have to do better. We have to play better and handle the situation so that we get the benefits of all the good play. And we gave them some stuff, gave them way too much stuff. And like I said, you give a good team that much, they keep hanging. They're tough. They got great players and terrific approach to the game and all that. They came through and they won a game with it. And credit to them.
And just execute, and then just not hurting ourselves. We had some untimely penalties, in this game. So we got to clean up that. That's on us. That's nothing that they're doing. That's us hurting ourselves.
Frustrated that we, didn't come out on top. We beat ourselves. Hats off to Tennessee, great football team, but we put ourselves in a hole and just couldn't get out.
There you have it in terms of the Seahawks talking just about really their performance or their lack thereof execution in this loss and what part they had to play. Look, and the other part is Titans running back Derrick Henry, 35 carries and 182 yards. Now look, the thing about that is he only had 35 yards at halftime. So what happened in the second half? We talked about the penalties. You heard from the players. And really, Henry got going. I mean, he led the NFL last year in rushing yards. So you knew that the more touches that he got, he's one of those backs, the premier backs in terms of just wearing down a defense. And he got a rhythm. He scored 3 touchdowns. And so one of them was a long 60-yard over here in terms of what happens, 60-yarder we're facing in the north. And Jamal Adams came up and then what you saw was Andre Driggs tried to come out and make a tackle, but it was too late. Part of it was to Trey Flowers. And really what they were unable to do was set the edge. That really was the key in terms of the inability to set the edge. And when you can't do that, you can't stop the run. You really can't. And that's what happened in the second half. And again, then you add the bad decisions in terms of penalties. And then the execution. When the Seahawks got the ball in overtime, they 3 downs right here. And they were all incomplete passes. And again, that goes to the execution. But all in all, just a bad day for this, disappointing for the Seahawks in terms of what they were out to accomplish today, execution-wise and decision-making. So Seahawks suffer this disappointing 33-30 loss to the Tennessee Titans. Up next for the Seahawks will be the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. So for the CascadiaSports.net Seahawks post-game report, I'm Osvita Mara Ire.